Hey team, hope you're doing okay. I just want to run through a few updates for you. There's going to be a whole team update, production team update, audio update, and video update. So stick around for all the things that are relevant for you. Let's kick off with the whole team first. I really just want to clarify timing on the pre-service side of our Sundays. So if we have a look at show flow here, you can see I've highlighted in green the devotion line item. So this is really the key time on Sundays that is going to set us up well for the rest of the day or for the rest of that service. Once this time gets pushed out, we start losing time in sound check and rehearsal and all this stuff. So we really want to hit this well. That timing is going to be 7:30 a.m. or 3 p.m. So that means worship oversights. If we hit that time, you need to call the devotion. Service producer, if the worship oversight doesn't call it, you call it. All right. For everyone else who's a team member, make sure that all of your stuff is set up, turned on, working by that time. So if you need 15 minutes to do that, come 15 minutes beforehand. If you need half an hour to do that, come half an hour beforehand. There's no change in expectation here. This is just a change in timing based on our current pre-service schedule and when we actually want to be hitting those services. For the AM, obviously, that means that we get a little bit of a sleep in, which is really nice. So after the devotion at 7:45 or 3:15, we'll be starting our sound check. Now we're going to go back to service producers running those sound checks from this Sunday. So I've been letting that sit a little bit just while I've been working on some like stability things for our live streaming. But now that we're getting a little bit more stable and I'm getting a bit more of a process around things, I want to start having the service producers run once more. So that's a 25-minute process. Obviously, because we've got less stuff, it's going to be slightly shorter than that. So if we save time in sound check, it'll just mean that we've got more time for rehearsal. Nice and easy. Rehearsal will go for 55 minutes from 8:10 or 3:40. The pre-service brief is going to be really important for us moving forward. We're just going to continue doing whole team pre-service briefings. I think that's working really well for where we're at. That's a 10-minute meeting at 9:05 or 4:35. As soon as rehearsal finishes, we need to start that pre-service briefing. So that means that we have the pastors there, we have the service producer running that, and we have the whole team there kind of to know what's going on in the service, who's coming up when, who's going down when we're playing any media, all of those questions that we usually ask. This is really where we hit the change for live streaming. So that will finish us. If we're on time up until this point, we currently have 15 minutes to go before the service actually starts. So at that 15 minutes prior to, we need to hit stream for the last time. Now, prior to this, there may have been some troubleshooting happening. We may have been testing the live streaming from the TriCaster system. This is the last time that I want the streaming button to be pressed. So from here, we are streaming, no questions asked. So that means that that from that 15 minutes, all of those troubleshooting items should have been hit during rehearsal. 5 minutes after that, at 4:50 or 9:50, 9:20, 4:50 or 9:20, the service on Nexus Online actually goes live. So that means that from the holding video that's been there throughout the rest of the week, that will transition over to the live Media Fusion stream and will allow people to start chatting in the PM service and all those kinds of things. So that is when the service actually goes live on Nexus Online. From that point, audio is mute, where our multimedia is at this hello and welcome screen, and that is how the service teams and our congregation members can know that yes, we are live and we are starting. Then the service producer will call the start of the service at 9:59:15 or 9:29:15. So depending on whether we're on 5 p.m. or 9:30, we're actually starting 45 seconds early so that we can account for the delay in streaming going into the homes. It's about 45 seconds, so we account for that there. I hope that's clear. If you're confused, I'll clarify that in Slack as well. But just know 7:30 devotion, 3 p.m. devotion. You need to be set up for then. Okay. So moving on, for production team, I'm working on a process with a bunch of people to get some really exciting kind of conversations and really practical conversations getting streamed out to you about how we can start improving our service delivery in terms of like what we're doing for lighting and audio and how we use our video and all these things. So it's been something that's talked about for a long time, like, oh, we just need to get more training, more training, more training. I think now is a really good time where we can capitalize on some of this excitement about we're in this new season and we don't know kind of how long we're going to be here. So let's work on really improving what we're doing now. We've got a really good foundational level, but how can we amp it up to really like make things nice and make things feel whole and good? And so for audio, that might mean how do we process vocals? How do we sit vocals within a mix so that when it comes out of your living room speakers, it sounds really natural and really nice? Or for lighting, how do we use dynamics in this live stream context, and how does it translate from what we see live to actually what's seen on the video? Or for the video team, maybe we'll talk about color temperature and shot composition. For the multimedia, let's talk about how we set up ProPresenter to really capitalize on this live streaming system. So I've got some really good ideas. I want to have some really good in-depth conversations that are going to be like real techie focused, but with some really practical outcomes, and are really going to hit those like visionary goals that we have and those cultural goals that we have as well. So I want it to be a really holistic kind of in-depth conversation, and that will be an ongoing thing for at least probably the next month or two, where week to week I want to have a time set aside where that will be live streamed. And I'm just working on the best way and the best method for that communication. Likely we'll have some communication coming out more about that. If you've got an idea for what that system, for what that kind of show could be called, the best thing I've got for it right now is live stream improvements. So if you've got a better name for that, let me know. And yeah, I think the first one is going to be Blaine and Lockie talking about broadcast audio and how we can some of the challenges that come along with that they've seen, and some of the improvements that we can start to make, particularly in our vocal mixes. So that should be a really positive conversation. It should be really interesting. Moving on, audio team, I've made 2 changes, or really 1 change and then 1 reinstatement of a change. I have gone through both the CL1 and the CL5 and normalized all of our MC naming conventions. So where it's previously been called like Pastor Nathan or Headset or MC1, now MC1 is MC1 is MC1, MC2 is MC2 is MC2. So what do I mean by that? So the first ULXD pack that has previously had a label called 1 on it. That now has a label called MC1. And when you look at the CL1 or the CL5, that channel is called MC1. When you're at the monitors console specifically, and you're giving the pastor that headset pack, you'll also give them vocal pack 1. MC1 belt pack will translate to vocal pack 1 IEM pack. Same for MC2. MC2 is now labeled MC2 on the pack itself and on the channel, and then they will get vocal pack 2. Now that has some flow-on effects. So obviously, if we need more than 2 vocal microphones on stage for worship, that will be Vox 3 and Vox 4. To get IEM pack 3 and IEM pack 4, but now because we're using vocal pack 1 and 2 for IEMs for the MCs, allocate your 3rd or 4th vocal to Vox 5 or 6. Hopefully that makes sense. Once you get into the console, it will be very, very obvious. Then we just need to make sure that we reinstate doing the podcast editing. So we're obviously still needing to put out the sermon podcast audio as soon as possible, and we aim to do that on Monday morning. That requires that we edit the podcast on Sunday. So what has been happening is we've just been shutting down and leaving, where prior to live streaming, we would shut down and edit the podcast before leaving. So I just need to make sure that the audio team start doing that again. If you're on monitors or broadcast audio, I don't care who does it. as long as someone does. So if you're comfortable doing that, then just pipe up and just get it done. Otherwise, I can help with the process. Broadcast, I would probably recommend that you initiate the recording of the Nuendo session, just because then you can control kind of what's being recorded. Anyway, broadcast, if you hit record, and then we can sort out the editing of the podcast later. Video team. Final thing, where we need to start streaming to 2 places at once for all of our live streams moving forward. So the reason that the PM service last week was so much of a problem, we started 20 minutes late, was that Media Fusion just stopped working. And it was just lucky that I was there so that I could do some like really deep in-depth troubleshooting really, really fast, like literally as fast as I could go. And we were still 20 minutes late. So to mitigate that a little bit, we're going to set up a backup stream onto YouTube, every single service. I don't know if we're going to stick with YouTube long term, but at least for this week and probably next week, we'll go to YouTube as well as Media Fusion from the TriCaster. So when you start streaming, just hit the cog, and then down the bottom, you'll see 2 options. There'll be Media Fusion Live or Nexus YouTube. Make sure that they are both ticked before you hit stream. That will mean that it will put to both of those locations. Then the service producer can allocate which one of those streams goes live to nexus.online.church for viewing by the congregation. Hopefully that's clear. Again, in the video channel, I'll do some written instructions about that, but I just want to get that in front of you. We're going to stream to 2 places from this Sunday onwards. Cool. All right. Hope the rest of your week goes well. Hit me up if you've got any questions, and I'll see you later. See ya.